This is Seeing Red, now in our 15th season of bringing you the best in independent Red Bulls news and opinion. Now, here are your hosts, Mark Fishkin and Joe Goldstein.
Yes, it's Mark Fishkin flying solo on this edition of Seeing Red. Real life intervened last week, but back this week with another pod. New York does just enough to take down LAFC, but a 98th minute ball off of the crossbar leaves New York wanting once again with a single point on the road. Tonight on Seeing Red, we'll go inside that road draw at LAFC. We'll give our Bull of the Week. We'll preview Vancouver away. The New York Red Bulls haven't played the Vancouver Whitecaps in 5 years, and we get to see it live at Red Bull Arena on Saturday night. We'll have a message from longtime host Joe Goldstein. Our guest tonight is Gustavo Guimarães of Terriorio MLS, and then we've got some emails once again. It's Mark Fishkin. If I haven't mentioned 1,000 times, I will mention again. Please like, please subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. We really, really appreciate it. Okay, so New York goes to BMO Stadium now in Los Angeles, which is a really tough place for opponents to come away with any sort of points. There's an early chance Lewis Morgan and Dante Van Zier and former Red Bull Aaron Long literally gives up the body to prevent the goal. Looks like a serious injury. He's going to be out for some time. We wish Aaron well, certainly, and unfortunate that he went out. Set pieces, a major part of this match for the New York Red Bulls. Off a corner in the 8th minute, Eddie Segura, hampered by Sean Nealis, heads the ball into his own net. Good stuff. It's 1-0, and then we fast forward to the second half, where Nealis again played a role in the next goal in the game for LAFC. Now, I understand that VAR actually looked at this penalty shout in the box. It really, honestly, looked to me like Bouanga may have made contact with Nealis rather than the other way around. Regardless, Bouanga sold it, VAR bought it, the referee bought it, and the penalty kick is converted by Bouanga to not the match at 1 with about 28 minutes to go. And you know that this match was going to have everything, and it certainly did. An incredible save from distance from Coronel a few minutes later. And then Jengar down the right side loops a fantastic ball to Lewis Morgan, who makes Hugo Lloris deflect it at the last second over the bar. And that corner kick led to Emil Forsberg picking up the trash unmarked in front of the net. You're figuring 10 minutes from time, everything's golden. New York's going to be one of the few teams to walk out of BMO Stadium with a win. It's not to be, because in the 96th minute, 6 of 8 extra minutes, Denny Bouanga, again, Noah Ayla, and again, he's a young defenseman, kind of stuck out his leg in an attempt to prevent the ball from going in, deflects it away from Carlos Coronel. It's in the back of the net. And then right before the final whistle, Edelman to Elias Manuel, who literally did everything right, cut back, shook off the defender, looped the ball over the keeper, only to land off the crossbar. Manuel has had chances in each of New York's last 2 games in injury time to turn draws into wins, and each time they've hit woodwork. Really unfortunate from the Brazilian. The match ends in a 1-1 draw, and the result leaves New York at 4-1-4 on the season, which is really a phenomenal record. 1 loss in 9. I mean, it's really hard to complain. The team is tied for second on the Supporters Shield table behind Miami. They're 2 points. There's only one of 29 teams that are ahead of them on the table. And I mean, it's okay to be disappointed that New York conceded late again after the Orlando match, only to lose. It was Ayla on that night as well that was victimized on the late goal that knotted the game. But again, this is a destiny. It's a journey, rather, not a destination. And New York continues to play well. They've overcome the loss of long, serious injuries to Peter Stroud, the other guys, Ngoma and Mitchell as well. And it really is next man up. The effort was right. You can make the argument for or against the tactics being right. But again, a proven goal scorer like Denny Bouanga getting a deflection in front of the keeper to knot the game deep into injury time. It's unfortunate, but it's going to happen. My bull of the week is Emil Forsberg. Thought he did a phenomenal job. Not only getting the go-ahead goal with 10 minutes to play, but again, he's leading the way, not only with his performance on the field, but just the general effort he's giving. I mean, he's out there late into matches, making a difference. He's leading by example. And his second goal, he's got 2 goals and 2 assists on the season, the first 9 games. Absolutely everything you want from the DP. And he continues to really lead the way. Before we get to the Vancouver preview, though, I just want to note our friends at Nutmeg Soccer are pulling some interesting stats off of FBref.com. Dante Van Zier currently 5th in MLS with non-penalty goals and assists per 90, trailing only Leo Messi, Luis Suarez, Fafa Pico, who we may see Saturday at Red Bull Arena, Robin Ludd from Minnesota United, and then Dante Van Zier with 1.33 non-penalty goals and assists per 90. And then the second cool stat I thought they highlighted was passes into the final third. Ricky Puig, far ahead of anyone else in MLS with 83. But Frankie Amaya is tied for third on this list with 60. The likes of Jackson Ueel, Carlos Gil, and Ashley Westwood from Charlotte. So again, good stuff there. Let's go right to the Vancouver preview. And let's do this. And let's pop this up, and we can tell the story of Vancouver. Vancouver Whitecaps are having a phenomenal start to their season. They're 5-2-1 for 16 points. That's good enough for second in the West, only behind the LA Galaxy. And they are tied with the Red Bulls on points, although with an extra win, they have the tiebreaker. They've, in just 8 games, folks, they've scored 17 times. They've conceded only 9. That's the 3rd best attack in MLS. And absolutely, they're the 3rd in MLS in XG conceded, only behind the Red Bulls in Houston. New York leading that stat, XG conceded with 7.8 in 9 games. They have the 3rd best attack in MLS. As I said, they're a perfect 3-0 away from BC Place on the road. Last season, 6 in the West, they lost to LAFC in the first round of the playoffs. In terms of key additions this year, Damir Kralak is an absolutely known quantity in this league, doing it for RSL for many, many years. And although he's a little bit older, he's still a terrific goal creator, scorer, and creator. They added Fafa Pico, who came in as a free agent. I think he's on his 4th or 5th MLS team. They signed Bjorn Inge Utvik and Balel Habulni, who are wonderful names to say, both central defenders. They signed American keeper Joe Bendick, who has traipsed around the league. But when you talk about themes around the Vancouver Whitecaps, it's all about Ryan Gold and Brian White, who we know, Gold and White, making it done. These 2 have contributed to 10 of Vancouver's 17 goals this season, and between them, they've scored 7 of them. Gold is both providing and White is scoring, and New York's back line remember, Andres Reyes out again with an additional 1-game suspension from his elbow thrown against Chicago. So the Neely and Tolkien and Noah Ayla are going to have to be on the top of their game to lock these guys down. Vanni Sartini, he has done a phenomenal job over his time in Vancouver. They're one of the best and most informed teams in MLS. And, Vancouver is a team for me that's just kind of been there. They've been well supported over the years. They just don't seem to have, even back to the was it Cavano days? They don't really have a flavor per se, but this year with Gold and White playing together, they are definitely someone to fear. The big deal for the Whitecaps is that Andres Cubas, the Paraguayan midfielder, has been suspended He's already picked up his 5th yellow card of the season. Remember, there's only been 8 games that Vancouver's played. So 5 yellows in 8 games he's going to miss. And the question is, who's going to replace him in the starting 11? It could be Damir Kreilach. It could be Sebastian Berhalter, Ryan Raposo, Pedro Vite moving in the midfielder. Midfield. I mean, this is a team that plays a 3-4-3, and let's get into it right now. Here's what Vancouver's lineup could look like. Sartini usually plays the 3-4-3. In the back, it's Yohei Takaoka from Japan. 3 clean sheets in 10 games in all competitions. The 3-man backline is Tristan Blackman with 2 assists, Ranko Veselinovic with a goal and an assist, and Bjorn Ingo Utvik, who had last season had 4 goals and an assist with Sarpsborg in his native Norway. The 4-man midfield line boasts Sam Adekugbe from Canada, who has an assist, Pedro Vite, an Ecuadorian, with an assist, Alessandro Schopf, an Austrian, with a goal and an assist, and Ali Ahmed, a Canadian, also with 1 and 1. And then up top is the dangerous group. That's Ryan Gold, 3 goals and an assist in 10 games in all comps, and 4 and 3 from Brian White. I believe he's just recently scored his 50th goal in MLS, which is a really, really impressive number, especially for an American striker, of which, let's be fair, there aren't a ton. Last year, he had 20 goals and 4 assists, and obviously Red Bull fans continue to lament the fact that it was White and not Tom Barlow that was sent away years ago. And then Damir Kreilach has 2 goals for the Whitecaps so far this year. This is a team over their last 5 that has 3. They've gone 3 wins and 2 losses in their last 5. Brian White has scored in their last 3 matches, and Ryan Gold has scored in 3 of the last 4 Vancouver matches. They took a 2-1 home loss to RSL, where Damir Kreilach scored. This is their last 5. They beat Portland at home 3-2 with a winner coming in the 87th minute. They smoked Toronto 4-0 at home, which I think was very satisfying for another Canadian side. Then they hosted the LA Galaxy and lost 3-1, Brian White with a lone goal. And then just this past weekend, another Cascadia Cup game, they went to Seattle. The Sounders had 2 red cards in this match, and both Gold and White scored in a 2-0 win. I think it's important to note that they're tied for second in MLS in goals beyond the 75th minute. 5 of their 17 goals have come in the 75th minute or beyond. That's a third of all of their goals. And again, as I said, they're absolutely perfect from home. These teams don't have a lot of history, considering that Vancouver's been in the league for 14 years now. It's only the 13th time these two teams have met. Vancouver leads the all-time series 4-2-6. And at Red Bull Arena, they actually have a winning record. They're 2-1-3 in Harrison, but the Red Bulls are unbeaten in the last 4 against the Whitecaps. That includes 1 win and 3 draws. The last time these two teams met was way back in May of 2019. So it's almost 5 years since these teams have played each other. And it was a 2-2 home draw. The last time the Red Bulls won in the series, you have to go back to August of 2017, and look at these names. Look who scored in the 3-0 win against Vancouver at Red Bull Arena: Danny Royer, Bradley Wright Phillips, and Felipe. That is a trip in the Wayback Machine. All time, Bradley is the all-time leading scorer, as he is just about every week, with 4 goals all time against the Whitecaps. No active Red Bull has a goal against New York, and when you consider that these teams haven't played in 5 years, and the only players on this team that were on the team 5 years ago was, I believe, Sean Nealis and Ryan Mara. So it makes sense that I don't believe that Sean Nealis was playing at that point, starting certainly for the Red Bulls. So I'll give my prediction, but before I do, I want to I have to send a message to you all from Joe, and I'm going to do my best to keep myself together for Joe. He writes, "Dear listeners, I'm sorry to report that the tumor is back and it needs to be treated with surgery again. and I will accept all love and support that comes my way. But crucially, Joe says, I won't be awake this time for the surgery, which could further impact my speech. The timeline to come back on the show remains nebulous at best. I want to let you know how much your words and encouragement meant to me over the last 8 months and how much is meant to my family. To my co-host, that's me. Thank you for graciously offering a place at the table when I walked past you on the street in NYC 10 years ago. I could not have known I would be part of this little club of co-hosts that's privileged to be a part of. From listener to host, how lucky I've been. Did you know I won 2 tickets for being the top email when Dave Martinez was hosting? I once wished for someone to talk shop with, and I could not pick a better person than you, Mark. You have been great at all the hard work you did getting me back on the show and helping me up when I would stumble. I truly love you. I love you too, buddy. For now, I will leave you with this. It's just a game. There will be great ones and bad ones, games where you tear your hair out, but it's all just a game. Community is the thing to strive for and make happen. Thank you for accepting me into your community. Sincerely, Joe Goldstein, a proud they, them. Joe, we miss you terribly here. We are praying for you. We are sending all of the healthy vibes your way. Our thoughts are with you and your family for sure. We love you, and we want to see you back and healthy and talking on Seeing Red. And after something like that, making prediction about a soccer game seems really kind of silly, but nevertheless, I'm going to call Saturday a 2-0 win for the Red Bulls. Next up on the show, we're going to have our friend Gustavo Guimarães, and then we'll come back and we'll read some email. We'll be right back. We are back at Seeing Red, the New York Soccer Roundup. Mark Fishkin, very, very pleased to welcome back to the show once again from Terriorio MLS. That's Gustavo Guimarães. Gustavo, welcome back. How are you, sir?
Mark, how are you? I'm doing good. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here once again.
No, it's absolutely my pleasure. New York goes and they play, 99% of a fantastic game. LAFC doesn't lose at home almost ever. And yet New York was 95 minutes in looking pretty good. I guess the question is, how bad do you feel about this win turned into a last second draw in LA?
I felt really bad. I'm going to be honest with you. It felt horrible because the team, as you mentioned, they did play a good game. They controlled the match. They had more possession, and it was such a terrible way to end a match that they were actually playing really good. I was surprised to see the way they were able to control LAFC at their house. It's a hostile environment. It's always difficult to play there. And this is something this 2024 Red Bulls team has been able to show when they're playing away, except for that loss in Columbus. I think they're playing good even when they are away from the Red Bull Arena. So the way that game ended, it was like heartbreaking, just like it happened with Orlando City as well.
Yeah, I think, listen, they've played 9, they've lost 1, and yet I think for Red Bull fans, they're of two minds here. They're 2 points off the Shield lead, right? They're in an elite kind of status in the early part of the MLS season, and yet they have given away points. And I want to get to Elias Manuel as well. But I guess the question is, overall, let's back up from the LAFC result. I mean, is there anything really to complain about here for Red Bulls fans that have spent the last 4 or 5 years wondering if this team is even good? This team is very good.
This team is good. This team is able this team is competitive. That's the word I was looking for. This is a competitive team, and it doesn't matter where they're playing. It just shows the work from Sandro Schwartz. I think he's been doing an incredible job, considering that basically it's the same roster that Troy Lesesne had, Gerhard Struber had, and I didn't expect, to be honest with you, the Red Bulls to be fighting for the top positions, fighting for the supporting shields and as well. And yes, it is. It's been a good season. It's been a very enjoyable season so far. Obviously, these results, the late draws hurts a little bit. They do hurt a little bit. But other than that, I think Sandro Schwartz is doing an incredible job with what he got. Obviously, a DP striker kind of player would be more than welcome.
Another DP striker.
Another DP striker. Oh boy, I dreamed with the club signing that guy. Forgot his name now. The one that is leading the table, the scoring table. He's playing for Real Salt Lake. Oh my God!
Oh, Chicho Arango.
Chicho Arango. Yes.
Yeah. We've talked about that. Yeah. All right, so we have to talk about Elias Manuel, right? Over the last couple of weeks, as Van Zier and Lewis Morgan have been playing kind of the two forward positions, Manuel has been left to come in and try to mop up. We have been talking, you and I, for over a year about Manuel's skill, the amount of skill that Manuel has, and the fact that he was very, very crucial to New York getting over the playoff line at the end of the 2023 season. And of course, the only playoff hat trick in Red Bull's history against Charlotte. He's fallen down the depth chart, and there are fans who are now pointing their fingers at him as he has hit the post in the last two matches in games where New York was tied and could have won with a little more focused execution. And so the question is it fair for fans to be down on him? Is it fair to expect him to come in and win the game, given that he's no longer a starter? And I guess your overall thoughts of what we've seen from him so far this year.
I think it's fair for the fans to be upset with him. And obviously, it's just like Dante Van Zier said in one of his press conferences when I asked him about the chances, missing chances. If you are a striker, you have to convert, even if you have just one chance per game. That's your job. That's what the fans expect. And so it's natural that I see the fans upset with Elias. It's just so unlucky for him, because against LAFC, he has done everything right.
Everything right.
You know, he passed the defender, he hit the post. You don't want to hit the post in those situations. You just don't want to hit the post at all. But it's just unlucky from him. And I feel bad. I honestly feel bad in his case. I reached out to him when he missed that chance against Orlando City by a little.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I got to keep working. I got to keep trying. I know it's not perfect. I know it's not what the fans want, but that's just who I am. I got to keep trying.
Well, there's nothing to do about it. The moment is past. All he can do is focus on what comes next.
The next game, yeah. And then comes Chicago, hit the post. And then comes LAFC, hit the post again. It's just, who could guess it, you know?
Yeah, it's tough. New York was able to go and get a point out of LAFC without Andres Reyes, whose spot in this starting lineup has obviously been taken care of due to his suspension, but had kind of worked his way back in. Now they're taking on a very, very potent Vancouver attack, once again without Andres Reyes. And yes, Noah Ela continues to learn and grow, and you can say perhaps he was culpable on Dennis Boanga's late goal in injury time, kind of standing in front of Carlos Coronel. But nevertheless, I'm just kind of curious about your thoughts on Reyes and getting the extra game added and throwing the elbow to begin with in the last game against Chicago, and then your thoughts on Vancouver coming up this weekend.
I think it's fair for Reyes be suspended for 2 matches. There's no excuse for what he has done. He put the team in danger of losing that game against Chicago. So it just shows a sign to the league that these situations should not happen. I just expect MLS to be fair in those situations and punish the same players that do the same that Andres Reyes did against the defender from Chicago. And I gotta talk about a little bit about Noah Eiley. I like those defenders that try to put themselves in front of the ball the way he has done against LAFC. It was just unlucky, but I do respect that. He was trying to block the ball, and that's what you expect from a center back. So I'm glad with that. I'm just not glad with the way that play finished, obviously. Vancouver FC, Vancouver, the Whitecaps, a familiar face coming to the Red Bull Arena, one that is a prolific MLS scorer. So I'm a little bit concerning about that because we know what Brian White can do.
He scored in his last 3 matches for Vancouver.
Exactly. He's been in a top form, and they also have that kid, Ryan God, which is very good too. So I do expect the Red Bulls to play the same way. It doesn't matter who are coming into Red Bull Arena, and a win perhaps would be nice to the fans as well.
For sure. Comment, if you would, on what the loss of our 3 homegrowns means for this team, right? Peter Stroud, obviously playing some of in the best form of his life before his injury. Rold Mitchell, an emerging star, right? And so crazy. He scores 4 goals for Red Bull 2. And you think, just come off the field. There's no reason to continue playing. He does his ACL. And then, of course, Serge Goma, who has been seemingly snake bit through most of his young career. Just your overall thoughts on what these absences mean to the lineup that's healthy and ready to go.
I think life is not fair, right? These are young talents trying to become reality. Peter Stroud was, he got the starting job this season. Obviously, he was playing well. It was just a pleasure to watch him perform. He grows, and I think it was so unfortunate. It was heartbreaking as well. For Ngoma, another situation that he possesses all the skills to be a successful soccer player. He's just, I think his body can't handle at this point, which is a shame.
Yeah.
It's so unfair again. And for Rold Mitchell, obviously hurts. It does hurt, but he has time, he has time to recover himself. We wish him the best. And he can work to come back stronger. It does hurt the team, these 3 absences, obviously, especially when it comes to Peter Stroud, who was doing a perfect job. He has a different quality when it comes comparing him with Daniel Edelman. Edelman is more like a dog guarding, the kennel.
Right.
While Stroud, he can go up front. He can play a little bit more. You see the quality he possesses. So it does hurt the team losing him for such a long period of time.
Yeah, I think Wiki Carmona's minutes, who already had shown this year, I think a little bit more, and is thriving under Sandro Schwartz. I think he will be the beneficiary primarily of Stroud's absence, because I think the coach will turn to him a little bit more. And of course, then there's the idea of exactly what's about to happen in the summer transfer window, right? The spring window is on the verge of closing, and perhaps the loss of Stroud, when you take a player out of the midfield, he will return. The question is, of course, obviously, how quickly he'll be able to come back and play. In that situation, does it change your priority at all in terms of what New York needs to do in the summer window, or is it absolutely go get another number 9 striker?
No, I think there's depth in that position in the midfield. I think I still going with a striker, a DP striker in the Red Bulls case. I think they can work in the roster to fulfill Stroud's absence, and it's just another reason for them to bring a striker.
Makes sense. You have a prediction for Saturday night? It's not supposed to rain.
It's supposed to be a nice weekend, right? Yes, I do have a prediction. I think the Red Bulls, It's going to be a game with a lot of goals, and I would say 3-2 Red Bulls.
All right. Gustavo, where can people find you on social media? Where can they connect to your work?
I'm on Twitter. I refuse to call it the other way.
Yes, me too.
At G, what is it?
GDE.
GDE Gustavo 83. I'm sorry. The same goes to my Instagram account, and I'm at territoriomls.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We've got more Seeing Red coming up after this short break. Keep it here, won't you? Back on Seeing Red, the New York Soccer Roundup. Great emails this week. Thank you again for those who wrote. A lot of these came in the week before, but nevertheless, you can write us at seeingredny@gmail. Sam Begay writes, a perennial topic in our world and more recently discussed by pundits, what player, specifically a DP center forward, could we bring in that would have an immediate effect, perhaps a talent from the Red Bull system? I think it's time to give Timo Werner a call. That also raises another question. Is the success we're seeing with Schwarz and Forsberg a sign that Red Bull Global is moving towards investing more in the New York market? Sam, let's do the second one first. I mean, yes, I think it's plain to see that the Red Bulls are investing more, and it's not just for bringing in folks like Emil Forsberg, although that's a big part of it, and Sandro Schwarz, who seems to have really done a masterful job so soon, so early in the season. Think about the upgrades to Red Bull Arena that have taken place. Think about the marketing giveaways, and I want to. I know we made a fun before the season of theme nights, and it is college night on Saturday night at Red Bull Arena against Vancouver. The sales and marketing organization has done a pretty solid job, and part of that is giveaways, and those cost money. And so the whole idea that the spending simply has to get done by bringing in players is not necessarily the case. Again, the whole lighting system was re-upped, and I think it creates a special atmosphere. Although it's getting a light a whole lot later. The light show, certainly for opening day, was really phenomenal. And I know that the team is doing that. And with losing Peter Stroud, and we talked a little bit about that with Gustavo Guimarães, I think it's important to consider that the summer window will open, and I'm more and more convinced that Red Bulls will bring another DP player in. The only corollary to that is if the team is near the top of the table, remain at the top of the table, and they still do, will the team simply say, well, we're doing fine? I hope not, because I think the team could be playing even better. And then for your first topic, I mean, Timo Werner recently, I think, committed long-term to his current club. I'm not someone that is thinking of global, to be fair. I'm not someone that's thinking of who are the best DP strikers in the world that the Red Bulls could bring in. I mean, I'm a Michael Antonio fan. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I think he would be great with New York. But I mean, these are players that are playing in the Premier League and that are, near or just past their peak. And, you may have seen that Olivier Giroud is coming to LAFC this summer. And LAFC gets it. They get it. I mean, they brought in Christian Bale. Giroud's just the type of player they could bring in to help get them over the line and or score a key playoff goal. It'd be nice for New York to invest like that as well. But thank you, Sam, for your note. Here's Nicholas Partika, who writes, Mark and Joe, first off, thank you for a great podcast. I found you on YouTube at the start of the season. Well done. And I've tuned in every week since. As a relatively new fan of the Red Bulls, of MLS, is soccer, I appreciate both of your insights on the team and the league. For context, I started following the Red Bulls last season right after the time Troy Lesesne became manager. One thing I struggled to find was an independent, supporter-driven coverage of the team. So in that regard, I'm very glad to have found your podcast. And we are glad that you found us as well. My question is about a piece of good news and a piece of bad news. That is, the past week, it was reported that MLS will implement slightly new, more generous roster rules for the coming summer transfer window, especially in light of the injury to Peter Stroud. What do you expect the club's approach to be with the new rules and the summer window? It seems to me a third senior DP could really help the club reach another level. Any thoughts on the rumors of linking the club with Red Bull Leipzig's Yusuf Poulsen? But 2 more U22s and $2 million in GAM is what they'd think they'd have to go for, given their focus on developing young players. Yeah, I mean, for those of you that are not aware, MLS, and we haven't really talked about it on the show, MLS released new improved roster rules that will be rolled out for the summer window. It's basically allows an extra senior DP or 2 more under 22 DPs. Consider that the Red Bulls still have an open DP slot on the table. So frankly, I'm expecting things to happen. I think Yusuf Paulson is a player that has literally been dangled, or at least spoken about through Red Bulls fans for close to 5 years now. I'd love to have a player like Paulson on the team. It's really up to him to decide to join his friend Emil Forsberg here. Would be great. And again, with the injury to Stroud, and we talked about it with Gustavo, the challenge of, really just going and getting a depth piece, especially if Edelman goes to the Olympics, right? You can slot Wiki Carmona in there, although that's not where he's best, and drop Frankie Amaya a little bit further back and play a little bit more defensively. We shall see. But nevertheless, Nick, it's great that you found us, and thank you so much for your note. Our last email comes from Michael Bruseno, who writes, Good afternoon, Mark and Joe. A couple of thoughts I'd like to share. I love how the current team is playing. I believe that the coaching change heading into the season, along with the addition of Forsberg and Lewis Morgan being healthy, are some of the key factors to the team's current success. I agree. It seems that fans are excited for this team again, and there are more fans attending games. I'm pleased to see that Wiki Carmona is finally getting more minutes. Is something I've been personally wanting for the last few seasons. I think Wiki has a lot of potential to unlock, and I think we will start to see that more this season. I agree, and as I just said, I think Stroud's injury will be a part of that, and Schwarz definitely sees the quality in Wiki Carmona. I think it's safe to say. John Tolkien, don't get me wrong, I'm a JMI fan, and I've always loved his attitude and the way he plays, but I can't help notice a bit of a drop this season when it comes to his overall play. This is just me speculating, but I think it could be that he was expecting to be playing overseas right now, and that didn't happen, or perhaps this has left a little bit disappointed. I don't know. I'm the only one who's noticed, but what do you guys think? So first of all, Tolkien will make the Olympic team. He was included in a big press event recently, along with Rose Lavelle. So he is going to put himself in the store window for sure when he is playing with the Olympics. But one of the things that I talked about with Tolkien a couple of weeks ago is, unlike last year, when the team was so struggling to score, the team really needed Tolkien to step up and throw himself into the attack almost all game long. And this season, playing in front of Morgan, or playing behind Morgan, and playing behind Emil Forsberg, he doesn't have to throw himself into the attack. And so for him, I think it may be perceived as you do, Michael, that his play is off. I think he just has to do less. I think Schwarz is not asking him, nor does the team need him to be thrown into the attack as often. And as a result, New York has become one of the top defensive, if not the top defensive team in MLS, right? But I think the challenge is it just doesn't highlight a piece of his game that we're used to seeing. He got an assist on Forsberg's goal with that great corner kick against LAFC. And so I guess that's how he has to contribute. But again, I don't think I see it as a drop off. I just think it as out of necessity or out of quality attack in front of him, he's good to sit back. But thank you again for writing, and thank you for listening and watching to episode 571 of Seeing Red. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, if you've watched all this way on YouTube, thank you. Please, please, please like and subscribe to the show. I want to thank Zach Feldman for his stats. I'd like to thank Gustavo Guimarães for stopping by. And I'd like to thank you for listening. And once again, Joe Goldstein, we are sending love and healing energy to you and your family during this nightmare of a time. And we can't wait to see you back. So with that, it's Mark Fishkin signing off for episode 571 of Seeing Red. Let's play some music and get on out of here. Thanks. Let's go Red Bulls, everyone. Bye-bye.